So one of the scariest things that we do operating trucks is get somebody that you don't know and you don't trust to work on your truck. It can be really scary and you take a lot of risk. And as we talk about a lot on the podcast, managing risk is one of the major keys to success. So I want to walk you through a little scenario we had here yesterday and some lessons we can learn from it. So I had a driver call me. Air conditioner's not working. It's okay. He investigates. He finds that the discharge hose is blown. This is a 2001 Freightliner. I say, okay. And so, he's kind of a go-getter and he has some mechanical experience. And he says, look, I'm going to go get this line and put it on and I'll go to the TA and I'll have them do the recharge. I'm like, yeah, that's a reasonable plan. So he goes and buys the line and he calls the TA in Nashville and he says, hey, I need a evac and recharge. And they're like, well, man, I can't get to you to tomorrow, tomorrow evening. And he was like, well, man, that sucks. So she says, but let me give you a number. You could call this guy. We let them come and work on our lot. And we trust him. He does good work. And he'll come over and he'll do it. So the driver's like, sure, not a bad plan. So he calls the guy. And he's like, how much is it going to be? And the guy's like, well, to put the line on and recharge the AC is going to be $400. And my driver's like, well, I'll put the line on. I just need you guys to come and do the evac and recharge. So apparently they agree at that point. So we have done one good thing. We've talked about the charge before the job began. So we know that we should be $400 minus the labor of putting the hose on because the driver's going to take care of that. At whatever point I go to bed and I wake up this morning and I find out that this mobile shop service handed us a bill for $1,300. And obviously we refused to pay it. And the driver realizes that, he probably could have handled this a little better, but he negotiates it down to $700. And we're not happy about it, but, sometimes this is what happens. And look, a lot of times in situations like this, you've got a mobile road service. Now, this is not a breakdown. It's not a tire. It's not a brake. It's not out of service. It's an air conditioner. Okay. This was an elective, voluntary thing. It's not like we were sitting on the side of the road. It could have waited, but the driver had thought $400 or less. So we're stuck with a $700 bill. So the driver pays. Well, today, not 12 hours later, the air conditioner stops working. So he sends the technician. Now, apparently the technician was not happy about how this bill had been reduced. And I wasn't there for all of that, so I don't really know. I just know that there was a lot of anger and frustration all around. Nobody left this situation happy. So the driver texts the guy today at 11:20, and this is the response from this technician. Are you seriously, all caps, are you seriously complaining about my work after all that crap last night? I made exactly $0 last night after screwing around with that truck for about 6 or 7 hours. Total downtime on my service truck that costed near $80,000 before I add a single tool on board because you decided that you were supposed to be the one calling the shots and setting the labor rate prices yourself while I just sat there and took it. Please, for the love of God, lose this number. Now, I can tell you this, if any one of our employees ever behaved this way with a customer, they wouldn't be an employee any longer. But it gets better. So then he says, but I sure got to waste 6 or 7 hours on your truck last night getting it all the way to where you have to do absolutely nothing but shoot your special little can in. Maybe you should ask TA to go do it for $180 for you. I'm not going to sit here and throw back and forth all day. I got better things to do with my time in a service truck. The driver responds, I mean, for $700, I'd expect it to be blown cold. I don't charge a customer to ship their product and leave it worse off than it when I picked it up. But it's cool, man. Good luck to you. He comes back. Yeah, I keep thinking that every time I go to grab something to eat. Oh, yeah, I don't get to grab anything to eat because I didn't make any money last night. Oops, silly me. My driver responds, well, your boss set you up on that part, so don't blame me. He should have been upfront and honest from the get-go. He knew what he was doing. At least you're man enough to return my text. Look, I don't doubt you're an amazing tech. I do. This is my driver's words. There could be a number of reasons I'm blowing hot right now, so I'm not blaming it all on you, but the truck wasn't fixed, and I paid $700 for absolutely nothing. You can be pissed, and I don't blame you, but I certainly feel I have a right to be pissed as well. If I was your boss, you'd get paid, and I'd be refunding my customer, asking him to let me correct the issue. We obviously have a whiny little bitch here that's not in business, because that is not how someone in business operates. But what do? You know? Now, I had a similar situation when I had my truck. The air conditioner quit. I called the TA, and I'm like, what's it going to cost? And I told her it was a line just like this. And it was going to be $1,000. And I thought, $1,000, man. I mean, to replace a line and evac and recharge it. So I got to YouTubing, and I watched a couple of videos on how to recharge an air conditioner. And I went to Harbor Freight, and I bought a set of manifold gauges and an air-operated vacuum pump. And I watched the YouTube video 4 or 5 times. And I put the line on the truck. I hooked up the vacuum pump. I let it vacuum for about an hour. And then I turned it off and waited to see if it leaked, and it didn't. And I filled it up with 5 cans of Freon, and it was good for months thereafter. And even with the price of the line, which was, I don't know, $60 or something, I fixed that air conditioner for less than $250. And I still had the parts left over to do it later, and I did do it later. So number one, if you're going to be an owner operator, you're going to have to be willing to turn some wrenches. And I commend my driver here because, he wanted air conditioning and he was going to try to do it himself. Got no issues there. He tried to negotiate a price beforehand, but something went horribly wrong. But we hear these stories. When our green truck was wrecked back in January or whatever it was, the wrecker bill was $10,000. You know why they charge it? Because they can get away with it. Now, I have not decided yet whether or not I'm going to release the name of this mobile service near Nashville. But I will tell you this. If the TA in Nashville downtown ever tells you, hey, here, I got a guy, run like hell, I will throw them under the bus because they're the one that put us onto this crook. So what do we have to learn? All right. So be willing to do it yourself. Have the tools that you need to do most situations. Be willing to learn. Air conditioning is really not all that complicated, but it takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of time to figure it out. Do some digging, and I tried today after the fact to look up the name of this place. Couldn't find anything about them, so you would have been kind of hurting. But there's been quite a few times that I have had to blindly call someone because I had a blown brake chamber or a tire or something wrong, and I needed somebody to come to the truck because the truck couldn't make it to an actual shop. And so you've got to be prepared. I would say in this situation, I would have really nailed down this guy on his price structure, because $1,300 to evac and recharge an air conditioner is absolute highway robbery. I mean, there's no other way. But $700 to do an evac and recharge, and to do it wrong, by the way. A TA, like you said, a TA will charge you, I think the standard service is $140, $150 plus Freon, and it's done by a machine that you literally can't screw it up. You plug it up, you press the button, it tells you if there's a leak. If there's a leak, you find it, you fix it, you evac it again. If it holds, no leaks, you press the button, it fills it up to the right number, and you're good. This was such an interesting experience, especially being someone that trains people in business. how to treat customers, how to really go above and beyond and do the right job. But this guy has probably, I mean, the way he's talking, spent $80,000 for a service truck and made $0, but somebody got $700. So how did somebody get $700 and he got $0? I wonder if he's like one of these dumbass truck drivers that signs up for lease deals where somebody's making more money off of them than they're making on the actual service being provided. The last thing it makes me realize is what an opportunity. If you have a decent amount of mechanical skill and you have the tools and a little trailer, an air compressor, some, you know, basic tools of the trade, and you went out and offered yourself as a mobile service that will go to trucks where they are and not rip them off, well, you talk about a surefire money making scheme. Because we see that now with Carl. You know, he's got a truck and a trailer, and he'll come to where we are, and we pay him well, but we get the job done. And I mean, look at the environment we're in. We got people waiting weeks to get into a dealership. We're waiting weeks to get into a dealership. Sometimes you're waiting in hours or even an extra day to get into a TA. If some of these decent mechanics would get out and start advertising themselves as a mobile service and stop ripping off your customers, wow, what a living you could make. It's difficult, but this is why we also preach you got to have that maintenance fund, because stuff like this is going to happen. You're going to get ripped off. You're going to pay somebody for work that they didn't do and they screwed up, and somebody else is going to have to go pay for it, and there's no recourse. You have to be prepared for that. That's part of business. I mean, you can try suing them, but go try to get blood out of a rock. You ain't going to get nothing out of that. Take your time, be patient, invest in yourself, be willing to learn how to do some of this basic stuff, especially lights, wiring. You know, man, a test light can save you thousands of dollars learning how to use it, learning how to use the basic functions of a multimeter, learning how to repair a wire. You know, that stuff is way, way, way easy to do, and just about anybody can do it. You got to be prepared. Preparing, managing the risk, and being ready to pay for it, having the money in hand so that you're ready whenever the bad stuff happens.